So I wanted to wake up this morning and I wanted to put down some thoughts that I had woke up to this morning that, just came to me as I was waking up. And what I was blessed with was the information that I received was about water sources. And water is needed throughout life to live. You can't live without water. Your body is made up of 60% of water. Water is needed to sustain. It is the most important element on earth, water. But sometimes in life, we depend on other water sources besides our own. And the way I came up with that, the way the Spirit directed me was that, we depend on water sources throughout life and don't even know it. Religion being one of the main water sources. Through religion, you find comfort, you find stability, you find life, you find endurance, you find a lot of support. Everything that water does, it nourishes, it supports, it builds. So religion is a water source. Not saying that this is bad, but we need to recognize these things so we can understand how to come into our own supply of our water. We have to recognize first that we're dependent on other water sources. So religion is one of the biggest water sources. Marriage is a water source. Marriage is beautiful. It is. And if you're in a good marriage, you end up becoming each other's water sources, which is a beautiful thing. Really, it is. But I feel that if you are unhappy with yourself, this is what I'm talking about. If you're unhappy with yourself and you just can't seem to find happiness no matter what you do, you haven't tapped into your own water. Marriage is beautiful if both of the people have tapped into their own water and they're bringing their water to the marriage. So I'm speaking to people who haven't tapped into that water yet, their water supply yet, because they don't realize that they've been living throughout life depending on someone else's water. There are people who are in relationships, not talking about marriage. And in that relationship, you are dependent on water. Women, you're dependent on this man to bring home money. You're dependent on child support from this man, from your children, which by default becomes a water source. Men, you're dependent on this woman for sex. Because through sex, you get to release, you get to relax, you get to find joy, which is a water source. You see what I'm saying? You become attached to, you become you become accustomed to drinking off water sources that are not yours, and then you're getting life from that, but it don't last long because it's not yours, right? And I get to what your water would do. Like I said, children can be a water source. Any kind of relationship that you depend on to make you feel good, to make you happy, that can become a water source. Your job can become a water source. Not telling you go out and quit your job. I'm saying that find your own water from your source of water, from your supply, and then when you go to work, you won't need it for that. Work would just be a means to an end. You get money from it, but you won't be getting water from it. The difference is when you get paid from a job, you need that check. And if you don't get that check, then you're not gonna see how you can survive. So that becomes your water source. When you find your own water source, in that water source, you get as much water as you can, as much water as you need because it's your water source and it's endless. So you get all the nutrients you need from it, you get all the support you need from it, you get all of the good, vibrant things you need from it. It's such a supply that is going to bless you in every way. So that job is not going to become something that you're going to naturally depend on because you are so full of water already. It's just going to work itself out that way. So the Spirit told me, Deborah, find your water source, find your water, because right now, I'm just sipping off other people's water. That's what I've been doing my whole life, is that I've been drinking off other people's water, drinking out of their well, drinking out of other wells instead of my own. And I've been surviving like that. So I asked the Holy Spirit, how do I find my water? And he said, you got to dig in the well that is Deborah. And I said, okay, so that means I got to find me a shovel, find me a hole, and I got to start digging. I got to put the work in. And the Holy Spirit said, no, this is where you are vulnerable. This is where you need to be vulnerable. Because in vulnerability, you show that you are totally dependent on God and that you trust Him because you're vulnerable, right? So the well is dug through me in my vulnerability by God. And then you will find water, my water, endless supply of my water. And then the Holy Spirit instructed me, when you find this water, when this water is 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 shown to you, drink. Because naturally what we do is that we find water, our water, and then we go out because we're inherently good. We go out and we want to give this water to other people. And then we're wondering still, why am I unhappy still? Why am I not finding my joy? And if I find joy, why doesn't it stay long? Because you constantly giving your water away. So when you find your water, drink. She said drink. And not just drink, wallow in it, swim in it, bathe in it. Let it sit in your mouth, swish it around your teeth. Let it trickle down your throat and feel it. Is it warm? Is it cool? Enjoy it. And then share if you choose. So I felt like I needed to put this on tape. I just got up this morning and I look like I look, but it's okay because I'm going to start building my well in my vulnerability to trust that God is going to work this out for me because I believe in Him. And I can't just say it and not do it. Faith without work is dead. Some people believe that means that if you have faith, you have to do the work. You have to go to church. You got to pay your tithes. You got to get in the Bible. No, you just have to be vulnerable, let go, and let God. That's your work. Vulnerability is hard. It's not easy to just let go. I hope that makes sense to somebody. It makes sense to me. It makes sense to me. I'm going to start being vulnerable, and I'm going to start by being vulnerable and finding my joy because that comes naturally from vulnerability because you're not worried about a lot of stuff anymore. You're just naturally joyful, you know. And then the Holy Spirit directed me, and in that joy, to just do little things for myself, to give myself a little break, to not be so hard on myself, to just relax on Deborah a little bit, and just be joyful, and let myself indulge in my joy, and let myself just be vulnerable, and let God dig this well and show me the water that He intended me to have, that is an endless supply of water to where I will never ever be thirsty again. I hope that bless someone. God bless.